guys remember what Miss Johnston last week when she talked about beginning, middle, and end of a book?
Yeah.
Yes. Today Miss Lacey is going to show you Muncha, Muncha, Muncha. And it's got a lot of details in the book, but when we do beginning, middle, and end, if you remember the word summarize, does anybody know what summarize means? Amelia, what does it mean to summarize?
It means to think about the and think about the character's feelings.
Character's feelings? Well, summarize means you're thinking about the book and you're thinking about what the book is about, but do you give all the details and basically read the whole book? If I'm summarizing this book, am I going to read it word for word?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
No.
When you summarize, I think about the book and I've already read it, and I'm going to tell you just the main details, just the important stuff that I need to tell you. So like if I want Kevin to read this book, I'm like, Kevin, you should read Muncha, Muncha, Muncha. It's a good book. And I'm going to tell you the really important part. So I'm going to tell you the beginning, the middle, and the end.
But it's spoiling.
It's not spoiling it. He'll have to read it to get all the good details and fun stuff, okay?
But you're trying to.
Yes, you're just trying to convince him. We're going to read it together. So, crisscross applesauce-matics, get back. All right, I'm going to start it. I'm going to let you read it on YouTube. We're going to read it on YouTube. And then I want you thinking about it, though. How would you summarize it? As you're listening and you're looking at the pictures, how would you summarize it? Think about the important things that happens in the beginning, the middle, and the end. And then remember what Miss Johnston, the pie poster, the author's purpose? Is this book trying to persuade you of something? Is it trying to inform you of something? Or is it just for entertainment, just for fun? So think about that, okay? I'm going to show you the video really quick. Crisscross applesauce.
I thought we were going to read that cat book. That short book.
Not today. All right.
Written by Candace Fleming, illustrated by G. Brian Karras, and read by Auntie Lee. For years, Mr. McGreely dreamed of planting a garden. He dreamed of getting his hands dirty, of growing yummy vegetables, and of gobbling them all up. But he never once tried it until, this spring, said Mr. McGreely, this spring, by golly, I'm going to plant a garden. So he hoed and he sowed and he watched his garden grow. Lettuce, carrots, peas, tomatoes. Yum, yum, yummy, said Mr. McGreely. I'll soon fill my tummy with crisp, fresh veggies. But one night, when the sun went down and the moon came up, 3 hungry bunnies appeared. Tippy, 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 pat. Muncha, muncha, muncha. The next morning, when Mr. McGreely saw his gnawed sprouts, he was angry. So he built a small wire fence all around his vegetable garden. There, he declared, no bunny can get into my garden now. And the sun went down, and the moon came up, and tippy, 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 pat. Spring hurdle, dash, dash, dash. Muncha, muncha, muncha. The next morning, when Mr. McGreely saw his nibbled leaves and gnawed sprouts, he was really angry. So he built a tall wooden wall behind the small wire fence all around his vegetable garden. Humph, he huffed, those flop ears will never get over it. No bunny can get into my garden now. And the sun went down, and the moon came up, and tippy, 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 pat. Dig, scrabble, scratch, scratch, scratch. Spring hurdle, dash, dash, dash. Muncha, muncha, muncha. The next morning, when Mr. McGreely saw his chewed stems, his nibbled leaves, and his gnawed sprouts, he was really, really angry. So he made a deep, wet trench outside the tall wooden wall, behind the small wire fence, all around his vegetable garden. Ha! He snorted. Those pufftails can't get under it. They can't get over it. No bunny can get into my garden now. And the sun went down, and the moon came up, and tippy, 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 pat. Dive, paddle, slash, splash, splash. Dig, scrabble, scratch, scratch, scratch. Spring, hurdle, dash, dash, dash. Muncha, muncha, muncha. The next morning, when Mr. McGreely saw his chomped blossoms, his chewed stems, his nibbled leaves, and his gnawed sprouts, he was furious. So he hammered and blocked, sawed and stalked, drilled and filled and trapped and locked, and he built a huge, enormous thing before the deep, wet trench, outside the tall wooden wall, behind the small wire fence, all around his vegetable garden. I've outsmarted those twitch whiskers for sure, he exclaimed. They can't get through it, they can't get under it, and they can't get over it. No bunny, no way, no how can get into my vegetable garden now. And the sun went down, and the moon came up, and tippy, 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 stop. The 3 hungry bunnies looked and smelled and touched the huge, enormous thing before them, and tippy, 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 pat, the bunnies hopped away. The next morning, when Mr. McGreely saw his untouched vegetables, he was happy. I beat the bunnies, he whooped and did a jiggly-wiggly victory dance. Then he climbed over, jumped across, squeezed between, and crawled under until he reached his vegetable garden. Ah, sighed Mr. McGreely, at last. Smacking his lips, he picked and pulled up lettuce, carrots, peas, tomatoes, and with his basket overflowing, he reached inside for something yummy. Muncha, muncha, muncha.
The end.
So I'm gonna pause it right there on that picture. Look at his face. Can you see his face really good?
No. Yeah. No.
Okay. I'm gonna skip back just a little bit so you can focus on his face. There. Now it's brighter. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
How does he feel? How do you think he feels about the sharing his carrots with those bunnies?
He's like kind of happy, but like he kind of regrets it.
He kind of regrets it. You think maybe he just gives up?
Yeah.
You think maybe he feels defeated? Or like
No,
maybe
kind
he
of.
should just give up and share? Is he
Yeah.
happy about sharing?
Yeah.
You think maybe his wall worked?
It worked, but he kind of feels bad for